Hello everyone, welcome back to xcelurcareer, a perfect place for your PMP preparation needs. My name is Vijay and I am PMP certified with over 15 years of experience. I am glad that you are here again as we are going to solve 10 PMP questions together. The idea is here to get 10 out of 10 correct to consider yourself a fairly well prepared. If not 10 out of 10, then at least you should get 8 out of 10 correct. If in case you get anything below that, do not worry because you just need a little bit more preparation before you get to final examination. Now because we have got a lot to cover, so without any further delay, let's get started. Okay, now before we go to the computer screen, now if you have not subscribed this channel, please go ahead and subscribe this channel and also press the like button so that this content will reach more PMP aspirants who are preparing for the examination. So let's go to the question number 1. The question is, during the execution phase of a software development project, the project manager receives a request from a key stakeholder to add a new feature to the product. This feature was not part of the original scope. So in this case, the question is, what should the project manager do? So let's go to the answers. So our options are, so the first option is immediately incorporate the new feature to satisfy the stakeholder. So here, whenever you see any such option wherein the option is about taking the action without studying or without any other consideration, so such questions can be eliminated. So here if you see, it is action oriented option wherein it is saying immediately incorporate the new feature to satisfy the stakeholder. Okay, but what about any kind of analysis? Okay, so any change, what we need to do, so before taking the action we need to analyze. So because of that reason, this option will not be the right option because this is asking to take action. All right, so we will not go with this answer. This is incorrect option. Okay, now the option B says analyze the impact on the project scope, schedule and budget before deciding. Okay, so this option is a very good option, guys, because it says before you make any changes to the original scope, you need to analyze the impact on the scope, okay, then schedule and also the budget. So all the three things are main things are covered. Your budget is covered, your schedule, your scope, everything. So we need to analyze the impact, then we can decide what needs to be done. So this option looks very good, so let's keep this option and let's see if in case we have any other good option than this. Okay, so option C says document the request and address it in the next project iteration. Now if you see very closely over here, now this third option talks about the iteration. Okay, but the question does not speak anything about the agile methodology. Okay, so this iteration basically is in the agile project management approach, but this question does not say anything about the agile project manager approach. So this is more of traditional because it's talking about the scope. This option again will not be the correct option. All right, let's look at the option D. Seek approval from the project sponsor without analyzing the impact. Now this is again not the right answer, okay, because without analyzing we should not go to the project sponsor for any such kind of approval, because even if you would go, the project sponsor will definitely ask, have you analyzed the impact? Okay, so then you will not have any answer for this. So that option is again not correct. So here, out of all these three, B looks very promising. Analyze this the impact on the project scope, schedule and budget before deciding. So this is the right answer. Okay, you understand the logic? So let's look at the answer. Okay, great. So answer B. Analyze the impact on the project scope, schedule, and budget before deciding. Explanation says, in the traditional approach, change to the project scope should be carefully analyzed for their impact on the schedule, budget, and overall project objectives before being implemented. Okay, so how did you guys go? All right, so let's go to the next question. Okay, so next question is, during the planning phase of the construction project, the project manager identifies a risk that may cause delays in obtaining necessary permits. Now, what is the most appropriate action for the project manager? Okay, so the question is to understand in the detail. The construction project is in the planning phase. The project manager identifies a risk, okay, that may delay in obtaining the necessary permits. So what should the project manager, what action is he supposed to take? Okay, let's look at the options. Option A, document the risk and proceed with the project plan. Well, that's not the right approach, because definitely if you have identified a risk, you should do something about it. So for now, let's hold this question. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so B says develop a risk response plan to address the permit delay risk. This is very good option. Okay, so because the risk which has been identified, that is related to the necessary permits over here. Okay, now if you see, the option also talks about develop a risk response plan to address the permit delay risk. Okay, so this aligns with the question. So answer option B looks very good option. So let's keep this option for now, and let's see what else we got. Okay, so option C, seek approval from the project sponsor to bypass the permit process. Well, that may not happen. If even if you consider doing that, the project sponsor will, let's say he approves, but because the permit is again, that may involve the regulatory. Okay, so this option will not be the right option. So let's, okay, cross out this option. So option D says ignore the risk since it is a common issue in the construction project. No, we cannot ignore, because in the construction project this is not common. This is common, definitely. This is common related to the permits, but that is the important part, because without having the necessary permits, you will face the problems. So this is again not the right option. Now B is the best option to go with. Let's see what is the answer. Okay, great. So answer B, develop a risk response plan to address the permit delay risk. So the explanation is, in the traditional approach, addressing identified risk involves developing a risk response plan to mitigate or manage the impact of the risk on the project. Great. I hope you have chosen the right option. Let's go to the question number 3. Question number 3 is, in the closing phase of a manufacturing project, the project manager realizes that some deliverables do not meet the quality standards outlined in the project management plan. Question is, what should the project manager do? Okay, so let's see the options. So, okay, let's understand the question in the simpler language. So it's a manufacturing project, and we are in the closing phase. Now, project manager has realized that some of the deliverables, they do not meet the quality standards which were planned in the in the beginning. Okay, so what should the project manager do? Option A, seek approval from the project sponsor to lower quality standards. So now if you see here, the option A is talking about, well, whatever the quality we have for those deliverables, So, the option A says to compromise on those quality standards and take the approval from the sponsor. Well, as a good project manager, you should not do that. Okay, because whatever the quality you have planned for all the deliverables, that should meet. Okay, so option A is not the right answer. Let's look at the option B. Update the project management plan to adjust the quality criteria. Okay, so in the other form, it is talking about the same thing again. Uh, so whatever the quality of deliverables you have, the standard, again, it is asking you to modify the project management plan. Now, that is not again the right option. So let's not consider this option also. Let's look at the option C. Implement the quality control measures specified in the project plan. Now this is very promising. Now seems very good option. It says implement the quality control measures specified in the project plan. Okay, to meet the quality standard for all the deliverables, we need to implement the quality control measures specified in the project plan. So that seems to be the right answer. But let's look at the option D also. Document the issue in the lesson learned register. Well, even if you, okay, so if you notice here very clearly, when any option talks about documenting, okay, so you need to see here. Now, all the issues are documented in the issue log register, not in the lesson learned register. Risks are documented into the risk register. Okay, all the lessons which are learned by mitigating the risk or implementing any solution, okay, those lessons learned are documented into the lesson learned register. So always think about that. Okay, so the wrong matching here, and again the option is also not right, so this is not the right option. Okay, so C seems very promising. Let's look at the answers. Okay, great. So answer C, implement the quality control measures specified in the project plan. In the traditional approach, maintaining quality standards involves implementing the planned quality control measures to ensure the deliverables meet the specified criteria. Okay, I hope you have chosen the right option. Now let's go for the question number 4. Question 4 says, during the execution phase of an event planning project, the project manager receives feedback from the client requesting changes to the event schedule. What is the most appropriate next step? Okay, so let's look at the options. Okay, so let's understand the question in this simpler language. So this is an event planning project, and it is in the execution phase. So the project manager has received a feedback from a client requesting changes in the schedule. Now, what is the most appropriate action? What is the most appropriate next step for the project manager? So option A talks about update the project schedule without analyzing the impact. If you do that, then what will happen in the scope, what will happen on the budget, we will not be sure about it. So doing this will not be the wise option, because updating the project schedule without analyzing the impact will not be the right option, because if we do that, our cost, the budget, and the scope, that will change. So if that will change, the entire thing will change. So not the right option to go with. Option B says, document the client's feedback and discuss it during the project review. Okay, so now here the important part is when we do the project review. Okay, so after each phase, we do the project review. So this option says document the client's feedback. Now we are in the execution phase. Okay, so we got the feedback to change the schedule. All right. So this is saying document the feedback, client's feedback, and discuss in the during project review. So project review will happen after the execution phase. So if you discuss this feedback after the execution phase, then what is the point, right? So which means we can't even implement the change. So there is no point of doing that. So let's not go with the option B also. Okay. So option C says implement the changes immediately to satisfy the client. Okay, you get such options a lot, so we should not be doing that. We should not implement the changes just to satisfy the client, because that's not the right option. We should always analyze and see what is best. So this is not again the right option. We should not always jump to the action to satisfy the client, because in the later part that will cause the problem. So option D says request a formal change request and assess the impact on the project. So this is very good option. So the option says request the formal change request from the client so that we can assess the impact on the project. So basically what happens if the client has given the request in the formally in the written format, then we can give that, we can raise a request, and that will go to CCB, the change control board, and then CCB will analyze the impact, and accordingly we will take the decision. So that will be the best option to go with. So let's go with the option D. All right. So let's look at the options. Okay, great. Option D is the right answer. Request a formal change request and assess the impact on the project. So in the traditional approach, changes to the project schedule should be managed through a formal change request process, including assessing their impact on the overall project. I hope you have gone for the right option. Okay. Now let's go for the question number 5. All right. So the question number 5 says in the initiation phase of a consulting project, the project manager is gathering requirements and discovers conflicting expectations among stakeholders. What should the project manager do? Okay, let's look at the options, guys. Now, before we look at the options, so always think that if in case this is the scenario wherein the different stakeholders, they are not on the same page, they are, their expectations are different, and there will be a conflict. So the best option is always to talk to all the stakeholders. Probably you can arrange a meeting with all of them, and come to one point where all stakeholders agree and come to the one solution. Okay. So keeping this in mind, let's look at the options. So the option A says proceed with the requirements as initially gathered. Again, that is not the right option, because here the scenario is different, because on the requirements, the project manager has already gathered different expectations from all different stakeholders. So we can't proceed with the initially gathered requirement. Okay. So no, that's not the right option. So let's look at the option B. Document the conflicting expectations and update the project plan. Again, you can't document all the expectations in like, and what would you do with those different conflicting expectations, and how would you update the project plan, because there is no certain things, right? Because there are different requirements, so you can't fulfill all the requirements for all the stakeholders, right? There has to be concrete decision, so that you can proceed further, right? So again, not the right option to go with. C, hold a meeting to reconcile the stakeholder expectations. Like we discussed, option C talks about the exact the same thing. Okay, So this would be the right option. Now, but again, let's look at the option D also. Seek approval from the project sponsor to choose one set of requirements. Again, when as a project manager, if we can solve the issue, we can discuss with all the stakeholders why to go to the project sponsor and involve him, not the right option. Okay, so always you should try out all the options, everything from your end, and if you cannot resolve the problem, then only you can look at the higher authority. Okay, so option D is also not the right option. Let's go with the option C. All right. Okay, great. So option C is the right answer. Hold a meeting to reconcile the stakeholder expectations. So in a traditional approach, addressing conflicting stakeholder expectations involves facilitating communication and collaboration to reconcile differences during the initiation phase. Okay, very good. I hope you have chosen the right option. Okay. So now here, before we go to the question number 6, and if you are still, with me, then I would request you to, if in case you have not subscribed to the channel, please considering subscribing the channel, and also hit the bell icon. Also hit the like button so that this content will reach more people who are preparing for the PMP examination. That will help a lot people. So with this, let's go with the question number 6. Okay, so the question number 6 says, during the execution phase of a large construction project, the project manager encounters unexpected weather condition that significantly impact the construction timeline. Okay, which means the schedule. So and we are in the execution phase, right? So construction project, in the execution phase, the project manager encounters unexpected weather condition. Okay, so is it a risk? Is it an issue? Well, here says the project manager encounters unexpected weather condition. Okay, so this is already an issue. Okay, that significantly impact the construction timeline. What is the most appropriate action for the project manager? Okay, let's look at the options. So option A says implement the contingency reserve to address the weather related delays. Okay, so what is the contingency reserve? Okay, so during the planning of the project, we plan the schedule, we plan the budget, we plan the risk also. So now during the risk management, whatever or any type of risk are identified in the beginning of the in the planning of the project. So accordingly, we will have to also plan the risk responses. Okay, so maybe to mitigate the risk, or maybe to transfer the risk, or maybe to accept the risk. So when you accept the risk, you accept the risk maybe because you risk impact could be very little, or nothing can be done about it. In that case, you will have to accept the risk, and whatever the risks are accepted, like whatever the risk comes, we will have to accept it. There is no option. Then again, there should be a plan for that also. So then you need to consider keeping some funds for that. Okay, so if in case this particular risk happens, then we have extra budget funds, and we will utilize that funds, part of the budget, to take care of this particular problem or the risk. That is called contingency reserve. So there are two types of reserve in the project budget. One is the contingency reserve, and the other one is the management reserve. We will talk about the management reserve later on, whenever if in case we comes on that part. Right now, let's stick to the contingency reserve. So contingency reserve is the funds reserved for a risk which is accepted, maybe because the impact may be little or nothing can be done about it. So we will have to accept. So this option seems very right option, because here the project manager has encountered the unexpected weather condition that significantly impact the construction timeline. So to make sure that we are staying on the schedule, we can utilize the contingency reserve, which is basically reserved for such kind of risks. So we can utilize that so that we can stay on the project track, okay, on the schedule. So this is very good option. So you can keep this one, all right. But again, let's look at the other options as well, if in case we have something better. B, request additional funds to expedite the construction project. Well, on what basis you will request for the additional funds? Because as per the plan, we might have the contingency reserve, so why not to use the contingency reserve rather than asking for the additional funds? Because asking for the additional funds will go a lot of other processes as well, and we don't have that much time, because if we will wait for the all those processes to happen, then we will already be delayed. So this is not the right option. Okay. Now C says update the project schedule without considering the impact on the critical path. Well, this will again be a problem. If you would not consider the impact on the critical path, you will not know how much the project will get delayed, and basis on that, the cost might incur. um, Again, not sure how much cost will be required to cover that up. So you will not be sure about the schedule, you will not be sure about the cost, you will not be sure about something else might have to be added in the scope as well. So again, everything will not be in the right place. Before, without analyzing the impact, if we would update the schedule, will not be right option, because you will not know what will happen. Okay, so again, this is not the right option. Option D says proceed with the original schedule and address delay during the monitoring phase. No, you can't wait till the monitoring phase, because the problem is right now. The weather condition is not right, not good, and that will impact the project timeline. So we don't have time to wait till the monitoring phase, and because the project will be delayed any which way. So that's not the right option again. So let's go with the option A, implement the contingency reserve to address the weather related delays. Let's look at the answer. Okay, great. So option A is the right answer. Now the explanation says, in a traditional approach, implementing the contingency reserve is the appropriate action to address unforeseen events and ensure the project stay on the track. Okay, great. I hope you have chosen the right option. Let's go for the question number 7. Question number 7 says, during the planning phase of an IT project, the project manager identifies a risk related to the availability of skilled resources. What should the project manager's next step? Okay, great. Let's look at the options. So here are the options. Now let's understand the question in a simpler language. So it is an IT project and we are in the planning phase. The project manager has identified a risk related to the skilled resources availability. So if that will happen, what should the project manager's next step? So option A says develop a risk response plan to address the risk. Okay, so now here in the project manager has already identified the risk. Okay, and related to the skilled resources. Now the option says develop a risk response, because we are in the planning phase, if you see here. Okay, so in the planning phase we have identified a risk. So what should we do? We should plan the risk response for that particular risk. So option A seems very good option, to develop a risk response plan to address the resource availability risk. Okay, very good option. But again, let's look at the other options as well, if in case we get something better option. So B says proceed with the project plan and address the issue if it arises. So keeping it for the later part, proceed with the project plan and address. Now, because the risk is already identified, as a good project manager, while you are planning the project and the risk is identified, we should um, plan a risk response. Okay, we should not be thinking that we'll see whatever will happen. All right, so that's not the right planning. Option B will not be the right choice. Okay, C, seek additional funding to hire more resources as a precaution. Again, now because we are in the planning phase right now, so if we seek additional funding to hire more resources as a precaution, so this will not help, because the issue is something else. The risk is something else, not the funding. Funding is not the problem. Uh, it is about availability of skilled resources. What if the skilled resource is not available? Then what your funds will do to hire more resources? Because availability is the main concern. So that's what we need to plan. So C is again not the right option. D, escalate the issue to senior management without analyzing the impact. Again, um, we cannot do that as a good project manager, because it is your responsibility to identify the risk and then plan the risk responses and implement it whenever it comes. You cannot directly, simply escalate the issue to the senior management, because that's your roles and responsibility. So again, it's not the right option. A is the right option. Let's look at the answer. Great. Okay. So option A is the right answer. Now the explanation says, in a traditional approach, developing a risk response plan is the necessary to mitigate or manage the impact of the identified risk, such as potential resource shortages. Okay, very good. And I hope that you have chosen the right option. Okay, so let's look at the question number 8. In the execution phase of a manufacturing project, the project manager encounters unexpected delays in the delivery of raw materials due to the supplier issue. What is the most appropriate course of action for the project manager? Okay, let's look at the options. So here are the options. Now again, let's understand the question in a simpler language. So this is a manufacturing project and we are in the execution phase. Okay, so execution phase, and this is a manufacturing project. Now project manager encounters an unexpected delay in the delivery of raw materials due to supplier issue. So who is the issue? The supplier is the problem here, and the raw material will be delayed because of the supplier issue, whatever the issue they have. So what is the most appropriate course of action for the project manager not to delay the project? What should the project manager do? Okay, so option A talks about update the project schedule and inform the project team for the delays. Not the wise option, because we can do something about it. Why to just leave it like this and update the project team about the delays? So without not doing anything, this option is not the wise option. So let's not go with this option as of now. B, seek approval to expedite the delivery of raw materials to mitigate the delays. So will this help? Definitely this will help to seek the approval to expedite the delivery of raw materials to mitigate the delay. So what we are doing over here, we are mitigating the delay, we are taking care of the risk, we seeking the approval to expedite the delivery of the raw materials. That will take care of the any unexpected delay in the project schedule. Okay, so this is very good option to consider. But then again, let's look at the other two options. Okay, so C says document the issue in the lesson learned register for the future projects, like I explained before. So option C talks about document the issue in the lesson learned register. No, not the right option. So you can simply by looking matching the terms with the the document which we are talking about in the option. So issue in the issue register, risk in the risk register, lessons learned are into the lesson learned register, not matching. Go ahead and don't waste your time. Take off that option. Okay, so not the right option. Proceed with the original schedule and address the delay during the monitoring phase. Will be too late, so not the right option. So B is the best option. Let's look at the answer. Okay, very good. So seek approval to expedite the delivery of raw materials to mitigate the steps, to mitigate the delays. So in the traditional approach, taking proactive measures such as seeking approval to expedite the delivery of the critical resources helps mitigating delays and to keep the project on track. Very good. So I hope you are going right. And with this, let's look at the question number 9. Okay, so question number 9. In the initiation phase of a healthcare project, the project manager identifies a significant risk associated with change in the regulatory requirement. What is the most appropriate action for the project manager? Let's look at the options. Okay, so let's break down the questions. So we are in the initiation phase of healthcare project. Okay, now project manager has identified significant risk, okay, associated with change to regulatory requirements. So regulatory requirements, okay, so that's the risk. So what is the most appropriate action for the project manager? Now because we are now very again important part is where we are. Okay, we are in the initiation phase of the project. So let's look at the option. Document the risk and proceed with the project plan. So if we do that, will that help? So well, not sure. Let's keep this option for now. Okay, we'll talk about it. Option B says develop a risk response plan to address the regulatory change risk. Okay, very good option to consider because we are in the initiation phase of the project. So if we develop the risk response to address the regulatory change risk, we can take care of the problem, right? So this seems very good option. C says seek additional resources to handle potential regulatory changes. So now the risk is related to the regulatory requirements, while this is talking about the additional resources. So not the right option, which can mitigate the risk or which can take care of the risk. Again, not the right option. Inform the project team about the risk, but take no further action. Now, as a good project manager, that's not the right option because if you identify a risk, you should mitigate the risk or plan a risk response. So this is again not the right option. A is again not the right option. B seems to be very good option to go with. Develop a risk response plan to address the regulatory change risk. Let's look at the answer. Very good. So that's the right answer. In a traditional approach, developing a risk response plan to identify risk, especially those related to regulatory changes, is essential to minimize their impact on the project. And I hope you are enjoying this and you are liking it and you are on the right track and you are scoring 100% right till now. I hope so. And I hope this will help you to prepare your preparation, your PMP exam. So let's look at the last question for the day. So during the execution phase of marketing campaign, the project manager realizes that the actual costs are exceeding the project budget. Okay, so the actual costs are exceeding the planned budget, okay, and we are in the execution phase of the project, of the marketing campaign project. Okay, so the question is, what should the project manager's immediate action? Okay, immediate action. Let's look at the options. So let's look at the option A, seek additional funding to cover the cost overruns. So you are in the execution phase, all right, for the marketing campaign. Costs are exceeding, okay, from the planned budget. So if you would seek additional funding to cover the cost overruns, will that help? Yes, it may help, but it is saying what should be the immediate action. Now if you would ask for the additional funding, it will go through a process. How much time it will take, you don't know, right? But let's see if we get any other option, a better option than this. So B says update the project budget without analyzing the reasons for overruns. No, you need to find out the reason, what is happening, why the cost is going higher than the planned budget. So just updating the project without analyzing the project budget will not be the right option as of now. So this is not the wise option. Even A is not, but we'll keep the A for now. Let's look at C option. Implement the cost cutting measures without notifying the project team. Well, you should always keep the project team involved because they are the ones who are working on the project, and they know better on what is happening on the project. So and cost cutting measures, where exactly the cost cutting? Okay, so that's the question. So where exactly you will implement the cost cutting? That will be very difficult. So not really matching or not giving us any solution. So even C seems not the right option. Now let's look at the option D. Option D says analyze the reasons for the cost overruns and take corrective actions. Very promising. It is saying about the analysis, that you should do the analysis for the reasons of the cost overruns and then take the corrective actions. Okay, if you do this, then you will be on the right track and you will be able to take care of the budget. Okay, so let's go with the option D rather than option A because that would be the immediate action for the project manager, to analyze the reasons for the cost overruns and then take the corrective action rather than seeking for the additional funding, okay, to take care of the problem. Let's look at the answer. Okay, great. So D is the right answer. So the explanation says in additional approach, analyzing the reasons for cost overruns and taking corrective action is essential to bring the project back within the planning budget. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the session and you were able to solve all the questions 10 out of 10. If in case you got score below 8, then you don't have to worry about it. Just need a little bit of more preparation, and put the comment below which option, how much did you score and which option went incorrect, so that probably I can help you out. And I'll mention my email below in the description box. You can send me an email, and if in case you require any help, you can also follow me on LinkedIn. I'll link my LinkedIn ID so that you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can connect through, discuss anything you need, any help you require, and I'll be there to assist you. So with this note, thank you so much for going through all the 10 questions with me. I really enjoyed working together, and I hope you will do good in your exam. I wish you all the best. Do well for your exam. Thank you so much. Bye bye.